Rulers can be used to measure in a variety of different ways. You notice that a ruler has two sides to it. The first side here is the U.S. customary side. This is the side that we use most commonly in our country. The other side is the metric side. It measures in centimeters. This one is important, but not the one that we are going to focus on today. Within this ruler, you can be accurate to a number of different degrees. You can measure in full inches. Wherever you see the line with a number next to it, you are measuring in full inches. So this space right here is worth 1 full inch. When you combine two circles, it would be worth 2 full inches. Obviously, if you add a third one, it would be worth 3 full inches. Going to the line is where you have marked at 1 full inch. Now you notice in between two of those inch lines, there is a long line. These lines right here are the half-inch lines. It makes sense. You know what half a cookie or half a candy bar or half a piece of paper looks like. It's in the middle. Anytime that you have something that measures to one of these middle lines, you have a half. So this right here would be 1/2 inch. This would be 2 halves. When you have 2 halves, that's equal to 1 full inch. This would be 1 and 1/2 because you have the 1 full inch plus an extra half. This would be 2 full inches, and if I add another one, it would be 2 and 1/2. Now if you need to get even more specific, say you are building someone, or if you're an architect, or if you're a surgeon, you want to be able to measure in more than just half inches. Within 1 inch, there are 4 tiny little sections. These are called quarters. Right here is worth 1/4. Here would be 2 quarters. Here would be 3 quarters. And finally, in 1 full inch, there are 4 quarters. You can see how there are 4 of them within each inch. Another way to see it would be drawing lines. This line right here would show you where 1/4 is because 1 circle would fit in that space. This right here will be worth 2 quarters because 2 circles could fit in that space. This right here would be worth 3 quarters because 3 circles could fit in that space. And finally, if you got to here, it would be 4 quarters because 4 circles would fit in that space. Now sometimes it's hard to see the quarters on a ruler, and what I do then is I use the trick of my pinky finger. If you look at your pinky fingernail and compare it to a ruler, most likely the width of your pinky fingernail, how wide your pinky fingernail is about the same as 1/4. If I were to compare my quarter circles to my pinky nail, you can see that they are just about the same width. How fat my fingernail is the same as 1/4. So if I know something is 3 and 1/4, I can draw the line to the 3 mark and then estimate a quarter by adding my pinky fingernail on with it. Let's do some practice together. We need to measure this line. The first thing we need to do is to make sure that our ruler is lined up carefully with that line. I want to make sure that my start is at the same spot for the ruler and for the line. The first thing that I do is I consider how many full inches there are. I can see that there is 1, 2, 3, 4 full inches. To make sure I don't forget that fact, I write that down right away. So I know that this line is at least 4 full inches. Now I can see that there's an extra piece here, and I have to estimate how much it is. If I use my fingernail to help, I could count that there is about 3 fingernails. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to confirm though with those little circles. I can see that there is 1/4, 2 quarters, 3 quarters. Now it does go just a hair past it, so I have to estimate, is it worth another circle or will it round down? In this case, it's much closer to 3 quarters than 4 quarters. The way that I would write 3 quarters is 3 out of a possible 4 circles, because I remember that there are 4 circles in 1 inch, and only 3 of the circles in that inch are on that line. So the length of this line would be 4 and 3/4 inches. Let's try another one. Again, the first thing I have to do is make sure that my ruler matches up with my line. Both of them need to start at the same place. I need to think about how many full inches there are. I can see that there is 1 full inch, 2 full inches. I want to make sure to write that down so I don't forget it. There are 2 full inches. Now I need to estimate again how much further this is. You may be able to see that it is right in the middle of 2 or 3. When it is right in the middle, that would be worth 1/2 inch. So this would be 2 1/2 inch. Notice it's written 1/2 because I have 1 out of a possible 2 circles that could fit in this inch covered up by the line. So this is 2 1/2 inch for the length. Let's try another one. Can you please think to yourself, what is the first thing I need to do with measuring this line? If you thought to yourself, I need to make sure that it lines up with my ruler, you are correct. So I'm going to make sure that both my line and my ruler start at the same place. Now what do I think next? If you are thinking that I need to figure out how many full inches there are, you are also correct. I can see that there are 1, 2, 3 full inches because it goes past that line with the 3 on it. I need to make sure to write that down so I don't forget. Now I need to estimate how much more it is. I know it doesn't go to that middle line, so I know it's not a half. I'm going to try and see if a quarter circle fits on there. I also know that if I had my ruler, I could try putting my pinky fingernail up there to see if it was about the same. And it is. It fits perfectly. That means that this is 3 full inches plus an extra quarter. That's written 1/4. Because if I were to put 4 circles on that line, only one of them, or on that ruler, only one of them would be covered up by the line. See how only one of the circles is covered by the line, so it is worth 1 out of the 4 pieces. The length of this ruler, or this line, is 3 1/4. Now chances are good when you're doing real measurement, you don't have a chance to have that circle there to help you. So let's practice a couple of examples without the circles. First thing we need to do is just the same. We need to make sure that our ruler lines up with that line. Then I need to think about how many full inches are covered by that line. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 full inches are covered by that line. Next I need to think about how many extra pieces I can see. I remember that this right here is in the middle, and that would make it worth 1/2. Since I'm not to that point of 1/2 yet, I have to estimate how much more I need. I can see that it's in the middle of the half. If I were to draw circles, there would be 1 circle, 2 circles, 3 circles, 4 circles. Only one of those circles is covered by the line, so this is worth 4 full inches plus an extra quarter. I write it as 1/4 because 1 out of the 4 circles on that inch are covered by the line. Let's try another one. I'm going to move the ruler this time for you, and I want you to estimate what you think this length of the line is. If you got an answer of 1 3/4, you would be correct. The reason that this is 1 3/4 is because I can see that there is 1 full inch covered by the line, hence the big tall 1. Plus I can see that there are 3 extra little circles. 1, 2, 3, and this 4th circle in that inch isn't covered up, so therefore it's not included. I can see that there is 1 full inch and 3 out of the 4 circles, so that is 1 3/4. Let's try another one. I'll move the ruler. You need to write on your whiteboard this time how long you think that line is. If you're stuck, think about how big your fingernail is and how many of those might fit on an inch ruler. You should have seen that there are no full inches, so I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. There are no full inches. Instead, I can see that if I were to put 4 circles or 4 lines on this ruler, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 of those lines are covered up. So this is 0 full inches and 3 out of 4 pieces, or 3/4 of an inch. Let's try another one. Please write on your whiteboard how long you think that this line is. Do you know how many full inches it is? What can you divide the rest of the ruler into? How many pieces are covered? There are 2 ways that you could solve this problem. The first thing I do is notice how many full inches are covered up, and I can clearly see that 1 full inch is covered up. Now I want to break my ruler into 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I can use my fingernail to help me to measure out those 4 chunks. They are the 3 longest lines. This line, and this line are the 3 longest ones in between the 2 inches. I can see that my line covers up 2 of those pieces. So that would be 2 out of the 4 pieces are covered up. Now some of you may have recognized that it's right there in the middle of the inch. And you may have remembered the fact that when something is in the middle, like if you divide a candy bar in the middle or a cookie in the middle, that you each get 1/2. So this is the same as 1 full inch and 1/2. Either one would be a perfectly acceptable answer and would explain how long this line is. Please letter on your whiteboard the letters A, B, C, and D. See if you can figure out where each one of these letters is pointing to on the ruler. If you haven't figured it out yet, please push pause and figure it out before you continue playing this video and figure out the answers. If you look at A, you can see that it's more than 1 full inch, so I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. Now we need to think about how much more it is. I can see that it is right in the middle between 1 and 2, and I remember that when something gets divided in the middle, that it's worth 1/2. So this is worth 1 and 1/2 of an inch. On B, I can see that we have 3 full inches, so I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. Now I need to know how much extra is covered up. I'm going to divide my ruler into 4 pieces and count how many of those pieces have been included until I get to B. If you have a hard time seeing those 4 equal pieces, remember you can use your pinky fingernail to help you. I can see that only 1 out of the 4 pieces is covered by the time I get to B. So this is worth 3 and 1/4 of an inch. C is an easy one. You can see it lands exactly on the 4. You don't need to add anything more or take anything away. Since it's exactly on the 4, you would just say that this is worth 4 inches. For D, it's gone past the 5, so I need to write that down so I don't forget there's at least 5 full inches. And now I need to figure out how much more than 5. Again, I'm going to break it up into 4 equal pieces so that I can remember or count how many of those have been covered until I get to D. Remember, if you have a hard time seeing the 4 equal pieces on the ruler, you can use the 3 longest lines, or you can use your pinky fingernail to count off those 4 equal pieces. I can see that 3 of those pieces have been covered up by the time I get to D. So this would be 5 and 3 out of 4 pieces, or 5 and 3/4 inch. Now that you have a good understanding of measurement, please go ahead and complete the measuring worksheet that's included with this activity.